group of armed men have stormed a university compound in Garissa.
Gunmen have attacked the Garissa University College in Garissa
A
town.
standoff is underway right now at a very popular upscale shopping mall in Nairobi. An eyewitness tells CNN that Kenyan police have
possibly have grenades and even suicide vests.
The battle that we're fighting is not a Kenyan war. Kenya just happens to be at the frontier of it, being a neighbor to a country that for a long time has not had any kind of form of government.
Despite the seriousness of the terrorist threat posed by Al-Shabaab, that in part because of media attention, probably even more than travel advisories, that threat can oftentimes be exaggerated, and that's unfortunate.
It's a question of how do we balance between providing information and ensuring that the same information we are providing doesn't encourage copycat attacks.
On the average, about 95% of the world population spend their time on one form of media or another. It could be print, it could be electronic.
There's been a dramatic rise in terror attacks over the last, say, 1.5 decades.
We know we have a problem in our security sector.
In this country, our security apparatus are still 1 foot behind history.
We don't have people who are specialists in issues of security.
Terror sells, bad news sells as well.
The fact is, when you talk to editors, when there's a major plane crash, sales go very, dramatically. There's a rise in the sales the next day.
The identity that has been officially given, according to the government, this is the man responsible for masterminding the Garissa University,
Terrorists seek to achieve the maximum level of terror to cow populations, to probably achieve political ends.
With terrorism, it's more about media manipulation.
An illiterate journalist is a dangerous journalist.
Terrorists, they want to use the media to create fear and use it also as a recruitment tool.
Media is very influential. Among the 7 pillars of influence in a society that include politics, religion, media is one of them.
And potentially give Al-Shabaab more exposure, which is one of the main reasons they'll be doing this kind of attack.
Terrorism knows and understands the effect and the impact of media in the society.
Terrorists would want to get attention because there are many people in the world who are attracted either to negativity or positivity.
Terrorists will do that, they will stage those kind of attacks, knowing that the media will be interested in that, knowing that the public also wants to know what is happening.
I think this is the classic chicken and egg situation. What came first? Is it the media's, you'd call, obsession with reporting bad news, with reporting, say, dramatic events, floods, monsoons, plane crashes, or is it the public that has an appetite for this sort of news?
So the media has a right to inform and to be fair, but not to imbalance information.
Terrorism is not about the act itself. It's about the impact of that act on the rest of us.
The publicity effect or the publicity part of it is very much important for them. They don't care whether it's negative or positive.
The ambition of these groups, although very misguided, is viewed by them as grand. They want to destroy human civility and rewrite the global order.
If people have died, people have been killed in the country, the best thing to do is to stand with the people who are mourning.
Terrorism differs from crime in the fact that it aims to shock. Naturally, terrorists are quite happy if their events, mass casualty attacks end up attracting the oxygen of publicity.
Various countries, including Belgium, France, Italy, South Africa, United States, Morocco, among others, have had citizens hold vigils in honor of the victims of the Garissa attack.
During Garissa, during Westgate, definitely there are more viewers on TV, there are more readers of newspaper during that period.
You also have the responsibility of telling the truth of what happened. It's not like 67 people were killed in Westgate, then you report that 2 people were killed. No.
The media gives information out there. It is the only channel through which the public will learn about something, they can get information.
The media remains powerful because they retain a measure of credibility that can't be earned by people who are on social media and who have not gone through a process of verification.
To be fair, the media should have an extent to which they must report these things.
Media wants to sell, whether it's newspaper, it's a TV, it's a radio, it's online, you want to get the numbers of viewers. And what terrorists have realized is that if you have a spectacular event, so to speak, like for instance the Bali attack, the one that happened in India, or you have spontaneous number of attacks happening over a long period, you have hostages, so it has, the way you say in terms of media, that if it bleeds, it leads. So terrorists have also realized that, and they're able to exploit that very effectively.
They started by shooting at security guards on the gate and then forced their way into the university, started shooting indiscriminately.
Also do know the Kenyan Red Cross is telling us 3 people have been wounded.
Media has revolutionized how we do security, and until security adapts the media way of societal revolution, there will still be 1 foot behind the terrorists.
When a terror attack has happened, it has happened. Whichever the way you look at it, it has happened. But the media has got an extra responsibility of packaging this story in such a way that it tells the truth and the facts on the ground, but at the same time tries to discourage terrorism.
But as long as it is facts which are out there, then no problem at all. It is helping in the fight against terrorism.
Terror is not on the 147 students they killed at Moi University in Garissa. Those are dead. Terror is on the rest of us that witnessed those gory images. That's the psychological part, and the media should be able to deny them that.
Of his family having reached university level in his education.
When somebody has lost a daughter or a son, you put them on TV screaming, crying, and you actually, in the process, you are actually traumatizing them even more. You're also traumatizing a nation, because I remember some instances where we have live TV, somebody was being asked, I think one of the victims was on phone and is being asked, so where exactly are you hiding? Seriously, you're asking somebody live on TV in a hostage situation to tell you where they are hiding, and on what floor are you, which room are you, where exactly are you? I mean, you see the danger in that.
As a journalist, you also play a role of informing people, whether that is going to give publicity to the terror group or it's going to give publicity to the right agenda. You are not very sure.
You have a mismatch in the capabilities, the hunger, the drive of the terrorists, and the drive, the capabilities, and the effectiveness of the government. That's why you find that terrorists are more effective in using various types of media than the government has proven itself to be.
We have a very strong Bill of Rights that enhanced the personal liberty to an extent that made it almost a crime for state to investigate an individual, even when there are indications that actually there is a reason to. Personal liberty has been given almost more power, more force than the interests of a nation state.
Violent extremism is significant beyond itself. It fuels the rise and spread of terrorism by providing a platform for expression of mindless hate and misguided division.
Information is a tool of war, and in situations like this, you have to find ways of utilizing it.
The governments are not quite well aware of how to deal with information or communication when it comes to terrorism.
There's no causal relationship between the reportage and the attacks. You know, if attacks are quite common in Syria, I don't think they'll stop if you stop reporting them.
If we say that we're going to gag the media and prevent it from reporting factual news which are happening, then in the name of preventing terrorism, it will still happen because we still have social media. We still have messages going through, for example, through WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere.
We may tell you as Kenyans, be patriotic, don't tell the story. Do we tell BBC, which said Kenya is a hotbed of hotbed of terrorism?
If, say, CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, our local stations did not cover this, would the message still not get out?
Well, if the terrorists have their own way to send their videos around the world and show the actual killing, it's their business. We cannot, if we give them blackout, then we're also living in denial.
I wouldn't want to put it point blank that the terrorists are utilizing the media. These are situations where they are being used without knowing that they're being used, and they are not actually a willing participant.
When you talk of terrorism, anybody who unleashes terror is a terrorist. Even a husband who slaps a wife, that guy is a terrorist. He's unleashing terror at a certain level. A wife who beats up a husband is a terrorist. So if we were to arrest terrorists, we will arrest everybody, including children with their mothers and their fathers at home, all the way to politicians and the like.
A lot of politics is taking place in newsrooms. The security sector itself is scattered. So there is no proper coordination between, various security sectors, the military, the police, etc.
Like the colonial military, they inherited, certain traits, which first tells them be secret about it. That's why one minister would shamelessly tell us those are mattresses burning in that building, when immediately someone took a YouTube picture from behind and told us it's a house that has been, either bombed or something has made the house collapse.
No information is too private for a journalist to get.
In many democratic societies, the problem is that you have an adversarial relationship between the media and the government.
Gagging the media is not helpful. Any government that tries to gag the media is not helping anything.
There is no room here for absolute freedom of the press.
Which is quite healthy because the media exists quite often to serve the public by making the government uncomfortable.
The Kenyan government is accountable to the Kenyan people.
In most of the countries, and Kenya included, the security apparatus in the country, they tend to label media houses as enemies.
I don't think the media is the enemy here. The media is not part of the terrorist network, and I think both sides need to strike a sensible balance.
The media has a very clear responsibility. Tell us the story.
Partly, the security apparatus tend to think that problem of terrorism belongs to them, and it's none of media's business.
I think the Kenyan approach is a very typical reaction by securocrats, where you want to just wield a big axe and try to kill a fly. The media are not the enemy. The media can play a role in self-regulation, in helping to calm tempers, in putting things in proportion, in avoiding compromising the lives of civilians. And it's very, very wrong-headed and quite backward, fairly obtuse to just go after the media.
It's time security begins to think we cannot hide things anymore.
Unless they share this with the community and engage the community in the same tasks, so that they fight a common enemy, the police will always be blamed for some of these ill-intentioned activities.
Kenyan troops invaded Somalia in a bid to push Al-Shabaab fighters out of Kismayo.
In one way or the other, journalists work hard and they try to give information to the public. And if they don't get information, they have to find it in one way or the other. That is part of the problem.
It's left to the media to go look for the information, bring it to the public.
So some of these people really have to be available for the media, you know, to give information. Otherwise, and also they should not give false information because people understand these things.
To date, unfortunately, we have men and women in the security, or if not the police force, who believe that specific information is just for the police.
Police spokesperson's office in this country is one of the most shameful offices that is branded with covering, you know, truth. When Garissa attack happened, they took time. It was up to midday that the police spokesperson said yes, there is an attack. When media had pictures, phone calls were being made, people were speaking live on radio and television, and the police spokesperson, it was at noon that she showed up and said, yeah, there was a terror attack.
Is that in terms of the war on terror, yeah, we talk about Kenya, I don't talk about Boko Haram and others. We have the government and all the security agencies are on top of things, and they have done all that needs to be done, both short term and long term. And I can assure that at least we are in the process of winning this war. It's a long war, but we don't have a choice anyway.
Breaking news, a deadly terror attack.
Kwingineko ni kwamba jumla ya watu 17 wameripotiwa kufariki na
Now, this is what we know on the terror attack at the...
People have this perception that they want to be fast with the news, that when you're fast with the news, you'll attract the most number of clicks. It's a problem around the world.
The media drives on numbers, whether it's viewers, the audiences or readers of newspaper.
The fact is that when something has occurred in a country, whether it's a blast or a killing or some kind of terrorist attacks in the country, you as a journalist, you are mandated to report that.
Some of these reports are actually quite shallow, I must say.
Authorities believe they are receiving instructions from outside the mall.
I'm interested in an intelligent journalist, one who brings to play his or her intelligent quotient, high power of critical thinking, not emotional quotient. Something happens and you rush at it. You're being emotional.
Some media houses have done better than others in resisting the urge to rush to print, to rush on air, to rush to tweet, and to rush to update without verifying. We've seen it in Kenya too. Media houses announced the death of Njenga Karume several times before he died.
You know, the moment we have individuals in some sections who are not quick enough to handle what they are supposed to handle, then the media will be fast enough to do that.
Today, one OCPD will tell you this, the other OCPD will tell you that, the other guy will tell you this, the police spokesperson will say this, the administration spokesperson will say this. There is no coordinated approach.
It's more than what meets the eye out there, and that's why I say there's a lot of shallow reporting, of which excludes a lot of information that is underground.
Anybody can be an expert, anybody is a journalist. If you have a smartphone, with a smartphone and you go online, you broadcast something that that goes viral.
In the fight against terrorism, there is a famous phrase, failure of imagination. This phrase was used extensively by a US general reporting on why United States was found sleeping on the 9/11 attacks.
There's no question that the terrorists see a role for the media, and that the latter-day terrorists are more sophisticated. You have Al-Shabaab, for example. They have a whole branch dedicated to the media.
Trying to understand the mind of these individual terrorists, it can help you find a solution to the problem before it actually happens.
9 days before Westgate attack, our company organized a counter-terrorism summit at the Windsor Golf Hotel. And we sent invitations to the chief of security at Westgate. And he did not even have the courtesy to send even a text message to say, I'm sorry, I won't come.
Terrorists attacked the Westgate Mall in Nairobi, Kenya.
In an effort to shrink the pool of recruitment for terrorists, we are focusing attention on the growing radicalization.
So far, we've been able to prevent, from various activities that the government has engaged in, various strategies, including the much maligned Usalama Watch that took place in Eastleigh.
During Operation Usalama Watch, there was no fairness, if you ask me.
We were able to mop up a number of through that operation, we were able to arrest many people who are living here illegally, whether they were the ones who are pretending to be refugees, but they were not refugees. We were also able to nab a number of bomb-making equipment and even stuff that they use for making IEDs.
There was a lot of human rights violations that took place during Operation Usalama Watch, and people don't get to know about it.
Democracies don't go to war. In fact, they say it's one of the few hard laws of that field.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
We hear that many people have joined terror groups, but no single journalist has been mentioned that has joined terror group or that.
There is not a better platform on counter-terrorism and anti-terrorism strategies than the media.
The police department should be well educated. We need intelligent men and women in the police force.
I've never seen an intelligence officer anywhere in the world who gives a business card. Unless they want to lie to you, maybe they write constructions, CEO, that's a decoy. But to write purely National Intelligence Service and give you a business card? Only in Kenya, it happens in Kenya.
Inevitably, truth is very uncomfortable when you're doing something as messy and costly as war.
Unfortunately, as a country, we have we try to use, from a political perspective, we are very disunited, and we try to use whatever grievances or whatever problems that are there to try and show the other side is not doing what should be done.
This issue of terrorism is new to us, and as it is new, we learn with each and every step.
We don't have a lot of patriotism even among journalists. I'm not saying we should be public relation officers of some institutions, but we should put, at some point, let's put the interest of our country first.
There have been discussions with the media, as I mentioned, with media associations like Media Council of Kenya, which is a regulator of the industry, to try and see how we can mainstream training of journalists in security matters, in security coverage, like the way we have people who are specialized in court, in covering of courts, in covering of, they know the do's and don'ts.
I think the Media Council has failed to be proactive, to move ahead of the game, not to wait for atrocities and then do postmortems. I think that's a weakness of the Kenyan Media Council. I don't think there are many places in the world where you have serious newspapers parading huge piles of bodies of their own citizens after a terrorist atrocity.
One day, one time, our country will become the island of security studies. People come from nations around us to come and learn how did you secure your country, how did you protect yourselves, how did you go through the menace of insecurity and terrorism.
If we don't have the support of everybody, the media, the intelligentsia, everybody, university students, in this fight, we may not have a country to talk about.
We have drastically increased our security equipment and capacity and will continue to do so to ensure the safety of our people and the fabric of our society.
We need to invest in training of our forces.
That there needs to be a leap, a big leap, to redefine the role of the police, to help them to understand that they exist to serve, not just rhetorically, but in practice. And that's why you see this reluctance to offer information?
We have undertaken fundamental reforms in our police services to help us to deal with this particular problem. We are continuing to partner with friends like the United States who are giving us their own experiences as to how they have handled this particular problem, and we are keen to learn and to participate.
And there should be some kind of education between the police force and the media to say that, you know, let this be shared at such fora. Let this be shared at certain levels. Let this be shared at certain levels, not just, you know, pouring out all the information anyhow.
It's not that you should give us all the details. It's just that you should not withhold information in a way that the vacuum is filled by rumor, conjecture, and lies and propaganda, really.
I wish all of us knew this. You need to know your enemy more. And that's what the media is supposed to do. Let us know more about our enemy.
I assure you all that Kenya is safe and you should be free to sample some of our best tourism attraction.
Allahu Akbar. Allah.